Well, guess who just got a flat tire? So, ran over a lovely piece of glass. Awesome. Alright, so I'm in the bounder, just got a flat tire. As it turns out, Lyft will not pick me up here because the city of Portland is technically at that next on-ramp up there. So they're not going to pick me up here. So that means, I don't know what exactly, but we're going to try and get off the off this overpass here if we can. Oh, this is fun. So I'm going to hobble this thing down here and see if I can get a ride from someone else. So I think whatever popped the tire is not in it anymore. Oh wait. There it is. It's a big old shard of glass. Look at that. So I do have slime in these tires, so in theory, if I can get some air in there, we'll be good. Just gonna have to figure out where to get some air. All right, so things are interesting. I called Les Schwab, and they're gonna come down here. Oh crap, look at this. I think this sidewalk may not be passable down here. I told them I was at the old spaghetti factory, which is right there. Yeah, that's fun. Things are not looking good. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get around this. I think if I move this twig right here, we should be all right. Okay, there we go. Oh boy, we're leaning downhill. I don't think the controller appreciates this. It's not letting me move now. If I go forward, I'm gonna end up down there, and that's a bad day. All right, some people help me, but we're in it now. Look at that. That's, I think this tire's done. Maybe we can kind of get it back into shape here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure whatever tube is in there is going to be sheared off at this point, or the valve stem. The guy from Les Schwab said he's going to stop somewhere and pick up one of these tires on the way here. So yeah, that's fun. All right, that'll do. Well, here we are.
See what I can do. Hope I can do something.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if that valve stem's still connected or not, but okay, we got just enough air in the tire and it's holding just enough that I'm able to run over here to Target and I'm gonna buy some tire slime. And I think we should be good. All right, somehow this Target did not have Fix-A-Flat. I'm noticing something else though. The chair is leaning pretty hard to that side, so I need to check the suspension and see what's going on. Okay, the plot thickens. That Target did not have any Fix-A-Flat. They had like 3 quarts of oil and cleaning supplies. That was it. I think the tire might be okay, but I'm noticing now the chair is leaning this direction. I'm gonna find a bench to sit on and see what's going on. Something's going on with that shock on that back side. There we go, that should do nicely. see what we can figure out here. I'm thinking that maybe that tire flipping around adjusted our shock or something. Looks like it's okay. If we compare the distance here to the distance there, it looks about the same. Oh. Some sticks. Oh, I bet this valve got turned and it's closed all the way. We'll just set that somewhere in the middle. If that gets closed, then the shock won't rebound. Yeah, it's still sitting low on that side. Everything looks okay though, so I think we'll be all right. By the way, I just put my hood in this pillowcase, and that's how I'm carrying it around without scratching it. Yeah, good times. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on with that shock. It looks fine, but it doesn't seem to be working. So I'm gonna have to pull that shock strut assembly off of there and see what's going on with it. But the tire's holding air, so I'm gonna head back to the train and get headed back to the house. I think we should be all right. Whatever tire slime's left in there seems to be working, so yeah, that's exciting stuff right there. Although the guy from Les Schwab's had a suggestion about doing a urethane foam fill, and it's a service they offer, so I might have to take him up on that. I've had enough flat tires now that I think it might be worth my while. All right, so normally in this situation I would call Lyft, but they recently changed their service area and they do not pick up outside of the city of Portland. And I was like a few hundred meters outside where I was at there. So I called Les Schwab, and as I was on the phone with them, I just basically picked a random spot that I could see in the distance, which was that restaurant. And I was like, I should be able to get there. So they came out, or started heading my way, and I didn't realize all those downed trees were there. Luckily, some lady saw me struggling and stopped and tried to help. She wasn't able to push the chair because, yeah, it's heavy and I was stuck in the grass. Some other guy came walking by and he managed to get me pushed back onto the sidewalk and also move a tree branch that was in the way. Then I made it over there and the guy from Les Schwab showed up. But yeah, he was mentioning they have, he said it's about a week and a half turnaround time, but they'll do urethane foam tire filling. So I'm gonna get another set of tires and wheels for this chair, and then I'm gonna take them in there and have them do the urethane foam fill treatment. And then I think we shouldn't have to worry about this anymore. I've gotten enough flat tires in the last 6 months. I think 2 or 3 of them. Actually, it's probably been the last year. But yeah, I need to do something different. It should ride better than solid tires because urethane gives a little bit, but I think that's gonna be the solution. All right, I made it back. That was, turn off these strobes. That was an interesting saga. Turns out the tire slime in my tire did actually do its job. But where I got the flat tire was as I was crossing one of those islands where there's sort of like a yield, and then you get out to the island, and then there's crosswalks to get across where several freeway off-ramps were. So I couldn't stop. I heard a piece of glass, and I was like, uh-oh. And then the chair started feeling a little bit weird, but I glanced down real quick, but I had to get out of that area. So because the glass was still in there, all the air leaked out and the tire slime wasn't able to do its job. In theory, if I had an air compressor with me, that could have taken care of it. But yeah, so calling Les Schwab and then dealing with that blocked sidewalk, having random pedestrians help me out, that was good. Oddly, Target doesn't sell tire slime, so that's a thing. Not sure what's going on with this rear suspension. I have to take that apart. The chair is leaning now. So the thing was, when that tire came off the rim, it was flopping all over the place, and I got real lucky that it didn't grab the drive chain, because it very could have easily derailed that chain if it had gotten in there. But I'm running aftermarket tires on this chair that it wasn't really designed for, and yeah, so I think I'm probably going to take up Les Schwab. I'm going to get some new wheels and tires for this thing, and I'm going to get the urethane foam fill done. And I think the ride should be a little bit better, because, well, better than, say, for example, the F3 sitting here. That's got the solid foam tires in it, but it's sort of a closed cell foam. And this urethane stuff is designed for like ATVs and quads and stuff where they need more grip. So I think it should be a little bit softer, but I think that's gonna be the plan for now. Yeah, good times. It's been about a week. The bounder is still sitting over there. In that time, we've gotten the BMW Power Wheels going. And actually, I think it was the day before I got the flat tire on that is when we did the live stream running down that trail. So I think at this point, I'm going to throw myself onto the floor, get the floor jack under this thing, and take a look at that suspension and see what's going on with it. With these bigger tires I have on here, I had to kind of crank the suspension up really far, and it almost completely defeats the suspension because there's maybe this much travel in it. So I'm kind of relying on the air-filled tires to, I don't know, help with the ride or whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna get this taken apart and we're gonna see if we can figure out something that's going on here. I'm hoping I can just pull that shock strut assembly off of there and loosen it up, maybe work it a little bit, and maybe it's just stuck or something. I don't know. I have no idea. There's one way to find out though. Let's take it apart real quick and see what's going on. Yeah, well, tire's still holding air. Crazy. Okay, so I got the battery box out of here. It's our 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery there. And I've got the two nuts off of the shock here. This thing does have an easy lock plate on the bottom of it, and so that made a good spot to put the jack. And looking at this, jacking up here is lifting it from up here essentially. And our whole suspension swing arm is, well, basically just hanging here. I've got the jack such that the tire is just barely off the ground. So in theory, we should be able to pull these bolts out now and get this shock strut thing out of here and take a look at it. Actually, the battery box here makes a great little shelf to put the camera on. So let's see here. Should be able to just pull this out. And in theory, this is just barely touching the ground. So there shouldn't really be any load on it. There we go. Probably should have grabbed a screwdriver or something to pry on that with. Right tool for the job. There we go. Alright, then the bottom one will just come out of here. There we go. Shock strut thing. The reason I call it shock and strut is usually struts are what hold your vehicle up. In this case, it's holding the suspension up, the swing arm for that tire and everything. But also, it's giving you your shock absorption and dampening. As you can see, I've got these cranked down pretty tight. So there is not a lot of movement left in this thing. Honestly, I should probably build some spacers so that I can drop this mounting point down to about here. Then I can soften this up quite a bit. That actually wouldn't be too hard to do. So let's see if we can adjust this up a bit here. And see if we still have any movement left in this thing or not. Actually, I should probably put some grease down on these threads. Well, I'm not getting it compressed by hand. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I'm going to get some lube on these threads and then probably chuck this up in the vise and get this thing adjusted way down and then check the operation of this thing, because with it just barely moving in this last little section here, there's a very good chance that I froze up this shock. Wouldn't be surprising at all. Again, that's my fault. Nothing to do with Bounder. I keep saying that because I occasionally get comments saying, oh man, those chairs seem like they're not very reliable. Normally they are, but this particular one belongs to me. And I screwed up a lot of stuff to make some things better at the cost of other things or something. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to get back up in my chair and we'll take a look at this. All right, we've got the cart here that has the bench vise on it. I'm just going to put a few drops of 3-in-1 on here just to give it some a little bit of lubrication at least. Actually, I should have grabbed some paper towels. Hang on. Here we go, the ubiquitous blue shop rags. I might have already angered those threads by trying to turn it dry. Get a little bit of that in there and then clamp this thing down. Alright, so I've got my Nipex channel locks here, and I'm going to use some of this packing paper to sort of insulate it. That way we don't damage the threads too much. There we go. Alright, we're almost at end of travel there. Freed up those threads nicely. Oh yeah, those are turning nice and easy now. So let's see. Oh yeah, we're still getting travel. Alright, cool. I think these are actually okay. Actually, let's pull this spring all the way off of here and check the seals on this thing. Will this come off? No, it is held captive in there. Oh, wait. Ah, there we go. We just have a little metal bushing with some plasticky spacers. There we go. We can clean this up a little bit. Yeah, you can see here where our travel lines were. It was operating in a very, very narrow band. Actually, can you see that? Yeah, there we go. You can see right here it was operating in a very, very narrow band. But it appears as though our seals are okay. Oh yeah. This thing's working fine. Let's adjust our rebound here a little bit. Show you what that does. See how it's very slowly coming back out now? And if I turn this knob, then it moves back out a lot faster. So what I thought at first was, if this is closed all the way, it's not going to rebound at all. There you can see it's basically fixed now. Until we turn this a little bit, it's not actually going to do anything. So this is actually pretty handy to take this apart and figure out what the settings on these shocks do. I think I'm going to leave it on the fastest rebound, -3 clicks. So that might even be too much. Oh, I'm turning it the wrong way. Okay, so 3 or 4 clicks seems to be a pretty decent amount there. Maybe 4 or 5. Always cool to see these things taken apart. But yeah, as you can see here, the threads on this are totally fine. They're not damaged at all. So that's good. A lot of times when you try to adjust these when they're under load, these things will get all stripped out and weird, but honestly, this looks pretty much brand new. Oh, except for down here. So if you look real close down here, I don't know if I can show this on the camera, you can see up here we've got some nice pointy spikes, and then right about here, it goes down, and we don't have these pointy spikes like we do up here. I think that is because the spring has been riding on here, and that's sort of worn down these threads here, because the top of them are just pretty flat. It almost looks like it was designed that way now that I'm looking closer at it. Yeah, actually, if the spring was rubbing, oops, out of frame there. Yeah, actually, if the spring was rubbing on there, these would be all worn down and the paint would be gone. But yeah, I think this was actually machined that way. Cool stuff. So I'm looking here at the back of the chair and I don't see anything wrong. By the way, these anti-tippers, I pulled them out and wrapped electrical tape around them and jammed them back in there. That just keeps these from rattling as you're running down the road, since those are 2 metal parts there. But everything looks fine. Our forks up here are not bent. Everything down here looks like it's okay. Well, I don't know. I suppose that shock could have just gotten jammed from all the weird lateral forces and things that were going on there. And then also, I think my adjustment knob may have been... Well, I don't think it was closed all the way. Whatever. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out of here too, since we've already got it mostly apart. I took the mud flap off the side. I'm just using a couple of self-tapping screws. And I made these a long time ago in a video. These are like WeatherTech floor mats that I just sort of cut into some fenders to keep the water and stuff from spraying up off here. But I think we're good. I'm going to pull this one off of here, oil it up, clean it, take it all apart, look at everything, make sure we're good. And then I'm just going to jam the whole thing back together. I've got a couple ideas bouncing around in my head for making a link adapter here so that instead of mounting the shock right here, it'll actually be down here. And what that'll allow me to do is get more height on the back, and then I can adjust my my ride quality accordingly. Because I was kind of using it off-label to raise the back of the chair up. I was basically tightening down that spring, and you can see here there's not much space between those at all. So I think what I'm going to do, because I'm going to keep using larger tires like this, I'm going to be getting some different wheels, but I can adjust on the front here as well. You can see we've got this Swiss cheese arrangement here, so I can drop this bolt here down a couple of holes to make up for the height difference on the back. So yes, it is making the chair a little bit taller, but yeah, I think it should be good. And then we'll get our ride quality back, because not having decent suspension because of my modifications was kind of taking its toll. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to clean this up, take a look, and then I think we'll just jam it back together. Well, I got the other side pulled off the chair, and it looks fine. Now, I started thinking, the way I was unscrewing this was basically holding this still and twisting this. One could argue that may not be the best thing for the seals in here, to have pressure on them and turn, but also, if they were stuck, that would clear out any of the gunk by this twisting motion here. So this one very well could have been stuck, and simply the way I took it apart maybe fixed it. They look like they're in really good shape, and we've got good action on both of these things. Actually, compare the length. They are twins. I think I just mixed them up now. I don't think it really matters, but yeah, so I think I'm going to hold off on putting this back together. What I'm going to do is work on making that link adapter I was talking about to relocate this mounting hole up here, maybe about an inch or so. I think that's going to work better in my scenario for the tires I'm going to be using. Oh, the other thing too, I got to thinking about the urethane foam filling process, and the way that works is you give them the tire and the wheel, and they fill the tube with the urethane foam and let it set and do everything. But you have to have a one-piece wheel. These are held on here with the same bolts that also hold the two halves of the split rim together. So I'm gonna have to get a completely different set of wheels. I was actually thinking about doing that anyways. There are actually two different bolt patterns on this chair. Both of them are 4-bolt. I forget the measurements right off. I think one of the squares is 2 inches and the other one is 2.5 inches. I forget exactly the dimensions, but the larger one is more of a standard bolt pattern that little miniature 50cc scooters, like mopeds and stuff like that, use. So I think what I want to do is find some front moped wheels that'll go on here. Because right now, we've got these little 6-inch wheels on here. And with these little 6-inch wheels, you're kind of stuck with using these really tall sidewall tires, which does give you improved ride quality, but at the same time, I would like to get some 8-inch wheels so it fills up this entire space, and then I can run some lower profile tires on there and get some maybe more highway style tires with highway tread on them, something made for a little bit more for on-road use. While it is nice to have the traction and everything with this, I burn through these tires in about 350 miles. And when I'm using this chair heavily, that equates to about every 3 to 4 months I have to replace the tires on this thing. But that's simply because they're extra grippy soft rubber ATV tires. So I think that might be the way to go. And also with these wheels, like I said, the bolts that hold the two halves together also hold them on the chair. So we'd be able to eliminate that. So I'm gonna look around, find some scooter wheels with that different bolt pattern and normal style wheels on them. And then I'll take those to Les Schwab's, and they can do the urethane foam treatment. But I think before, like I said, before I put this back together, I'm gonna work, I've got a couple ideas in my head. I'm gonna see if there's an easy way I can weld up some little adapters here to relocate these shocks. If it doesn't turn out being easy, I'll just jam it back together and call it good for now. But yeah, I think we're gonna call that it for today. And I'm gonna screw around with this a little bit more and let you know what I figure out. Oh, by the way, for the BMW Power Wheels, I did get a set of casters for the front of it. And I released a quick clip on YouTube memberships and also Patreon, kind of showing my idea here. But essentially what I'm doing is taking off this little hubcap and then sawing the bottom of the wheel off, so we have this big open space. And then the idea here is going to be to sink these caster wheels down inside here, put a little piece of plywood in there, and screw these off to it. We'll obviously have to cut off the sides so we have clearance for these to swivel. But I think that's going to be a good way to keep the aesthetic of the little toy car and also not have this plastic dragging on the ground sound constantly. The other option would be too, because the front of it's a little bit tall, so I want to lower it down regardless. The other option would be to bolt these on the bottom of the chassis somewhere and still cut the wheels out. So they would just sit on the ground. Well, not on the ground. They'd be off the ground a little bit, but it would allow me to tilt the front of it down. Anyways, that's all stuff I'm working on. No idea when the next update on that is going to be, but I think we'll call that good for now. We got a flat tire, made it back, and I learned that things are different now, and I can't just call for a ride because Lyft only operates, well, and Uber, only operates within City of Portland limits, and they will not stray 100 yards outside of that to pick you up. So I will now plan accordingly. Whatever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in a few days.